Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another week of Growing with My Fellow Growers. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I'm going to kick it over first this week to a father himself, Spartan Grown. Welcome back.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, I want to echo that. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. I just introduce myself. I'm Spartan Grown. You can find me on Instagram at Spartan Grown, all one word, no spaces. And if you don't have an Instagram, you can still get a hold of me on through email. So you can do spartangrown at gmail.com. Also, no spaces. And I'd be happy to help you with all of your growing questions.
We are happy to have you back, and I want to remind everybody that this week we're going to be doing some Q&A, so make sure to tag us with your questions, either at Spartan Grown, at Jack Greenstock, or at Zenthanol on YouTube. Speaking of which, I'm going to welcome in Matthew Gates.
Yeah, hey everyone, this is Matthew Gates, and yeah, happy Father's Day to everyone. I usually just celebrate my Father's Day on a different day because everyone's out doing stuff, usually because of the holidays. So I take that approach with a lot of holidays. So everyone who is enjoying that, good for them. And yeah, I look forward to all the cool questions we'll get in the chat.
Looking forward to it as well, and we're going to have the American one joining us in just a bit, but yeah, definitely make sure to tag us. I'm going to unplug and replug my mic because my cat, aka co-host, just stepped on the plug, and I know the sound is coming through weird on my end, so it might not be coming through so well on the recording end. So I'm going to take a second here.
It actually sounds fine to me.
Alrighty, I'm sounding better, at least now, so hopefully things are coming through clearly if they weren't before. I'll try and keep this aggressive cat away from my recording equipment here. And just say cheers to everybody. Make sure to click on over to the live chat so that way you can see all the messages, or say view all messages, depending on if you're on the phone or on the browser on your computer. It might say live chat versus top chat, or all messages versus top messages. And if you want to see everything, then you can go ahead and click on that button to make sure you're seeing everything. And the predominant account that I'm on is at Sheep Home Grow. So if you want to tag at Sheep Home Grow when you ask your questions, I'll be able to see them easier. I'm also on Jack Greenstock on my phone, so those will pop up as well. And like I said, you can tag Spartan or Matthew as well under their YouTubes if you want to ask them a specific question. And if we don't get to it right away, we copy and paste it over into the Zoom chat, which we're talking on right now, and we'll try and get to it later throughout the show. Because we have such a short panel, I'm assuming we'll probably do a open panel second hour. And Spartan, I was talking to you a little bit pre-show, and you were talking a little bit about the trichome forage and also your own garden and some updates and some things going on over there, some new lights and things like that. So maybe you could give a little bit of an update while we wait for some questions to start rolling in.
Sure, thanks, Jack. Yeah, and in my own personal grow, my good buddy there, GML, sent me a couple of his lights from his lighting company. I received in I think it's called the Tent Light Ultimate or something along those lines, but it's basically an over engineered light designed for a 5x5 tent. I didn't put it in a 5x5 tent. I put it in my in my flower room over a 5x5 area. But this thing had, I believe, 10 bars on it. It's a bar light, and it pulls up to 1,000 watts from the wall. It's ridiculous. The map on it showing even the edges were getting hit with 1,000 ppf. So usually you get that fall off around the edges, and this isn't the case on this one. And it's designed to run closer to the canopy. He said that, I believe he took measurements on the maps. They have one as close as 12 inches with the readings. So I'll be running that light dimmed, dimmed down. It'll probably be like 80%, 70% in my flower room. And it's going to be awesome because it's height restricted. I only got about, I don't know, 6 foot or so in there, a little bit over 6 feet. So to have that bar light and to be able to get closer to it, that's going to be cool. That's going to be fun to play with. And he's also going to be sending me one of his, I don't have it yet, a new, he calls it the Borg, which has the color spectrum tuning, the different. So it'd be cool to also play with that. I'm replacing 2 of his other lights, at his first generation lights. So a board light that I think that, what is it called? Vulcan boards. And then an 8-bar long legs is what they call that one. Tarantula long legs. Those were both flower lights. So I'd be taking changing the cords because they're on 110 and switching them to 220 and bringing them over to the Trichome Forge, my build that I'm helping Baked Pone with. And we're going to be doing, right now we're in the middle of a pheno hunt over there, but we have 2 flower rooms. One flower room's got the pheno hunt going. The other flower room isn't even operational yet. We still got to put some walls up in there. But my plan is to take those 2 flower lights, switch the cables, put them over there in the second flower room alongside 2 HLG Scorpions. So it'll be cool to have the head-to-head going in that flower room once we get it up and going. And then this weekend, I'm headed over there to help. We have to put the walls, the finished walls. There's like the frames there, but what we're putting, instead of drywall, we're putting up these PVC walls. So I got finished. We're going to try to finish the dry room with the walls, and then if we have any extra time, we'll start on the last flower room. But we're moving right along. We're probably, I think, we're still around week 2, between week 2, week 3 in flower right now. And so far we've only made 1 elimination out of that 28. The original was 28 different phenos in the flower room. We were in there and lollipopping a little bit the other day, and I found a male, which was a bit surprising because they were all sex tested. But whatever the case, we took that male out of there, and we're down to 27 phenos now.
Where'd you do the sex testing?
It was Deep Roots here in Michigan. It was a facility here in Michigan. They do tissue culture as well. But we went ahead and did the sex testing with them, and yeah, I'm not sure if it was a full-blown male or if it was a Hermie, but to me, looked like a regular male. Looked like just a regular male to me. I mean, I'm not going to mince any words. So
that happened to me.
But they have a 1% of one. They do have I think it's like a 1% failure rate. So we maybe just hit that 1%, whatever. Or it could have been error. I mean, we had, I think it was close to 60 phenos that we had sex tested. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to flip a tag here and there, I think.
Or just to not clean the scissor well enough. And then the genetic material from a male, or like you cut like 3 females in a row or something. And then you cut that male, and then it goes into the little envelope, and it's got all this female juice all over it. So it like shows up as a female.
Female juice.
Phloem and xylem or whatever.
For sure.
That's happened to me like once. I've done over 100 Farmer Freeman sex tests, and only one time it was what I actually thought was a male. Now I kind of, looking back, I think it actually was a female, because when I cut it down, like the clusters that looked like pollen sacs were like really ballish looking, like floral, but they weren't like triching up as much. I thought they would have pollen in them for sure, but it was just like a loose kind of airy bud, and it had like stipules that I thought were pistils, and I just didn't look at it close enough. Like it next to it was a Amy Aces, shout out to Tao, but one of the females was like a regular old female with like the white, hairs bursting out everywhere, and then the other one looked like a fucking full-blown dude. Like, I've run enough for eggs that I was like, I know what a male looks like. And so I cut it down, and then this is like the first plant I ever grafted, because after I cut it down, I was looking at it and I was like, wait, this is a fucking female. I looked at it under the scope, and I'm like, wait, there's pistils on this, and I'm not actually finding any pollen in these sacs that I thought were gonna be pollen sacs. So I grafted it back onto its carcass and let it live for like another week or 2, because I chopped it literally straight at the base of the stem. So I used that. And
was it successful? Did it take that graft?
It took, yeah, it lived for like a week, 2 weeks, and then it ended up not growing as well as the Donny Burger I had in reserve. So I swapped the Donny Burger into its spot in the flower room, like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks behind the Amy Aces. So I had like a Amy Aces that was like 21 days old, and then like Donny Burger, like day 1 of flower or something. But it ended up working out. The Donny Burger stretched pretty good. It was a vigorous, healthy grower. Amazing, super fucking potent bud. Even though like it came in kind of late. I'm typically a all or one kind of guy. Like I don't do perpetual harvest where I, mix and match, like one's 3 weeks behind the other. Like I have such a small tent, it just doesn't really make sense for me to do that many times. But this time I had to do it because of the sex test mix up. So I did see, maybe we'll spotlight it or have them come on, because I see them in the chat. Seed Person 1 just harvested their upside down clone, and I saw their post on Instagram. We'll have to maybe spotlight that, have them talk about their journey with that. because it looked like underneath the roots, like there was like a lot of interesting stuff going on from where they took that initial branch cut. It looked like maybe 3 or so branches popped out of there. So pretty
That's
cool
cool.
stuff.
I missed that post. I have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, I followed that like whole journey from start to finish. Essentially, I think, were tagging me and many of the other panelists on here, but it was kind of cool to see because like I think a lot of people were kind of confused about what the upside down clone really even was in the first place. Like, taking like the top of the like stalk or whatever, and then burying that down, and then like growing from basically the cut portion of the stem. So it
I
was
wasn't
an amazing
surprised to see it,
accomplishment.
honestly. Just I've seen this plant do so many things, and I've seen plants that you like people have tossed in the corner or tossed outside just in a compost pile, and then they come back months later and there's this huge plant, So
Yeah,
it doesn't surprise me. I mean, it wants to live for sure.
nature is amazing. Like I just saw an article a few weeks ago, and my wife just ran across it today of like I think it's alligators or crocodiles they've discovered can give virgin birth as well as like chickens and maybe
Yeah,
a
that's
couple
right.
like dinosaurs or some other animal. But that was kind of fascinating to me because as we know with plants, there is the ability for like apomixis and like a virgin birth or like a self-pollination, which has its evolutionary advantages in
Absolutely. Yeah.
dire situations. Like if you're literally the only gator or the only plant for miles and everything else has died off, or you're not in communication with anything else, like to keep your gene line moving forward, they could basically have a baby. And I guess just like an apomixis seed or a clone of a plant, these virgin births are like pretty much almost identical clones to the parent, whether it's a
Yeah, because
crocodile or alligator.
they're not working with much else.
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
the
it makes
same
sense, right? They've only got so much DNA to give. They can't like summon a new genetic code. But it is interesting that it doesn't like recombine in some different way or whatever, like with because we all have a big mix of different, I think it's ATs, C's and G's or something like that. And they all
Thank
combine.
goodness that humans aren't that way. Could you imagine?
Well, that we
Just
know
one day
of.
waking up, you're pregnant. You have no way you can.
Lock some late, maybe, I don't want to get religious, but there's at least one big story
There
where
you
there's a
go.
virgin birth.
Yeah, we do have an example. You're right.
And there was another one, actually, funny enough, a lesser known religion, but like same thing, like a virgin birth, the guy dies, comes back from the dead. And yeah, it's interesting. It was like hundreds of years before the Jesus story too. So
Is that
interesting.
Zoroastrianism? I forget. That might be what you're referring to.
I think you're correct in that, but hopefully we get some questions here rolling in. I know we've done a lot of Q&As lately, and we got a lot of the same folks here. So we'll definitely be opening the panel up in the second hour, and we got the American one jumping in. Maybe he'll have some fresh takes for us and some good questions, as he always does. But while he loads in, we'll continue to seed person one. Jesus had frog DNA. Oh man, the frog stuff's fascinating because as much as like there's a controversial figure who says like they're turning the frogs gay, and he said some really other controversial things that I think are, he rightfully got reamed for and sued and lots of trouble, and he's a dumbass for that. But the whole frog thing, like there's a weird and interesting science. The deeper you go down that rabbit hole, the more confusing and strange it gets. But it's again not anything related to this, and I think Tao should be loaded up now, and he's like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? But cheers, the American one. Welcome in to this Father's Day Q&A with no questions.
Hello, Jack, Spartan, and Mr. Gates. It's good to see you guys. Good to see everybody in chat. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And yeah, it appears as though certain chemicals are turning the frogs from male into female. Is that what's happening?
And
Yeah,
Something like that. They're
feminizing.
very sensitive to certain compounds. Yeah.
Well, I'm
And
glad
it's something that we're exposed to at a pretty high amount too. It's like within our water supply. So people are concerned that.
Yeah, that can make a lot of sense with today's kid. No, I'm joking, but I'm glad that I'm fully grown right now. I can say that being in this world. But yeah, man, how's everybody doing? What's everybody smoking on?
I'm not smoking yet. I need to fucking change that.
Yeah.
I got some edibles going down. Somebody last week said that I was maybe talking too fast. And then like when I went back and rewatched the episode, like I wasn't even talking it at all. So maybe they thought somebody else was me, or maybe the intro.
Maybe.
They're like, Jack,
I bet that happens
too fast. You need to take
sometimes.
some edibles.
I bet
It was
sometimes the
Claude.
names get switched around. Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes people, especially when there's like Brandon or like somebody who's like off, or Tao, for example, where they're just talking in the background and their face doesn't show up, they can assume
Yeah.
maybe somebody else is. Yeah, because like when he wrote that, I went back and rewatched it and I was like, maybe he was like way far behind in the live or something, but like I wasn't even talking
maybe.
for like several minutes when the comment came through. So I was like kind of confused. I do talk quickly at sometimes, and I think especially at the beginning, because when I'm introducing everybody, I just want to get through the fucking intros like, hey everybody, we're back. And I guess a lot of the YouTube, like if you look at the analytics, you basically start off with like 100% viewership, right? And then it just plummets like after like the first few seconds. So like while we're doing intros or whatever, unless you're like, you know, titties, like fucking whatever, all the other
All the
Eliza
little tricks.
Schlesinger, a comedian, just read off like 100 buzzwords while she was like wearing a bikini and like took off her shoes at the end, and she was like plugging tour dates. But it was just funny because like she knows that's what's going to get pushed in the algorithm, and she wasn't wrong. Another comedian I opened for when I used to do stand up, Taylor Tomlinson, fucking unbelievable. She's got a few Netflix specials now, but I was an open micer back in the day and saw her killing it. But yeah, anyway, I had a point with that, and I fucking derailed myself.
Well, Tao asked us what we are smoking, and I'll answer. Oh, it doesn't show up there. Lime skunk, the last of my lime skunk from Fagroli. Usually
You
I
gotta
get
like
his
cover up your
concentrate.
face. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Usually it's his concentrate. Would actually, funny enough that I mentioned it, I have some lime skunk concentrate from Fagroli as well. Shout out to Fagroli.
I remember when I brought up Taylor Tomlinson, same thing with Instagram. She did like a thirst trap post at like 900 something thousand followers to get to 1 million. And she's like, my social media people are telling me that I need to like post something sexy to get over 1 million followers or something. And like, that's not her thing or whatever. But as soon as she did it, of
Jeez.
course, went up and over 1 million followers like within that post. So it is unfortunate that that is what Instagram and many other social medias heavily favor, obviously.
Well, I'm sad to disagree with you, Jack, that you feel like this is not relevant to cannabis, but it is. It's relevant to all kinds of places where people have to game in one way or the other about algorithm, right? To get seen. Informational stuff has to do it. Informational, educational stuff, much to my chagrin, has to compete with more entertaining things sometimes. So you have to be entertaining too. And if you thought that AI and things like that was going to make things easier, no, it's going to make, to some degree, things more difficult. And you're going to compete with some of this stuff that's coming out and some of these ways that people will cheaply and easily make things that are bombastic, super stimuli. I've thought about that a lot, with my own kinds of work, but I won't go on a diatribe just to say that it's more relevant than you say, I think. So you're totally fine.
Well, it happens in cannabis, whether it was like advanced nutrients back in the day, pushing their nutrients with like girls in bikinis, or dispensaries hiring the best looking bud tenders that they can, and things like that. Like there is sexualization in any industry, even like internet marketing. Like a lot of it, I would say,
It's
is
not
like,
back in the day. That's still today.
yeah, that's true. It
Advanced
was more
nutrients.
in like 2000, I would say, like, and advanced nutrients still does it, but I would say like before the Me Too movement, so to speak, there was a lot more sexualization in all fields. And I think now it's like, you kind of have to think about it. It's like, is this the market that I'm aiming for? Or, because then there
A
is
lot
like
of
the
people
markets.
will get upset, and I think for good reason in a lot of cases. And also it's like, you got to ask, like, where's your marketing coming from? And what, like, if most of your marketing is in that direction, then it's like, it makes me question. But see, maybe I don't think like most people, or maybe it's just they're trying to spread a wide net.
No,
I
you
guess.
think the
But
same. You think the same, Matthew. I'm the same way. Like, just going to an event, if I saw that outside of a booth, if I saw a bunch of
yeah, what's your
scantily
first
clad
thought?
men or women or any of that,
Whoever.
my first thought is pass, because they're just distracting me from the if they want to describe to me their
Yes.
product and explain to me their
Yes.
product, fine. But if you're trying to distract me
Agreed.
from your product, why would I buy it?
That seems, yeah, exactly. And that's a succinct point. I don't think there's much to add to that. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I'll say this, one good marketing thing I see Brandon always does whenever he does a new seed drop, he does this like America's Got Talent video of like this really nerdy looking guy with glasses on, and it's like do 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 do, and then he does this fucking dance, and it's just like a really happy, positive, like shareable, upbeat. But then it's like, seeds are now available on my website, and then he always ends up like posting sold out, like a day later or whatever.
I have to say, even that's a bit of a rug pull for my opinion, but I'm super cynical. So
Yeah.
that's what you get when you're like,
Well, and I was gonna say, follow that up with like memes are like the new way of spreading information, and like
True.
breeder that I felt like looking at his garden, no one would ever buy this person's stuff, became like a very large meme account in the cannabis community, and now is one of the biggest, most popular breeders. And I would never grow any of their stuff, but I still see a lot of people like growing it. And I just can't even believe it because they just got
Or like the
popularity.
trading card level of like some like paraphernalia, like stickers and things like that. By the way, chat, if you have questions, this is a Q&A intro. I'm stalling for your questions. Please ask them so we can answer them.
Well, and
No,
we could
but,
just always ramble and fill the fucking air.
I mean, yes, but yeah, that's what I mean. I think that it's crazy to see that like almost Pokemon card-esque fascination with like seed. We've talked about this a few times, but like seed packs, stickers, and other kinds of like paraphernalia. Like people will
Collectible.
It's the collectability. Yes, exactly. I grew up with Beanie Babies, right? So
They still fetch big dollars
and
from
Pokemon
collectors.
for that matter, and Pokemon.
Yeah.
Right? So
It's funny. I will say that like knowing your marketing does matter, because as much as like I do think that the Me Too movement made a lot of companies more conservative in how they market, potentially with like sexualization of people. At the same time, like Bud Light just did advertisement with someone, I think they're called Dylan Mulvaney, a trans individual who is like an activist. They were formerly, I believe, male and transitioned to female. And after Bud Light advertised to this person, or sponsored them, essentially, a bunch of Bud Light fans, for whatever reason, we got really pissed off about it and boycotted Bud Light. So like knowing that, just as from a numbers perspective, like Bud Light sold to a pretty huge audience, right? A big section of middle America, I would say, for the most part, but all over the country and all over the world. And then I think from pressure, there's like certain ESG groups, like equity, social, or environmental, social, I forget what the G is, but there's like these groups that rate people based on how sort of politically correct or environmentally correct they are.
Governance, I believe.
Governance. So yeah, how much they basically have like equity within their diversity within their CEOs and upper management and things like that, and how many people they sponsor to do certain stuff like that. But yeah, they essentially, and I'm not like taking a stance on this, from the outside looking in, they sponsored somebody in a trans community, which is roughly like 1% of the population, to my understanding, and then ostracized a huge portion of their fans and their viewer base and or drinkers, and they've had a huge revenue drop since then. So like they've lost several $1 million this year, and it is interesting to, I guess, know who they're marketing to. But we're marketing to growers out there, and I know that they're probably like, what the fuck are we talking about right now?
It's a big part of the scene, honestly, that you can deal with on the commercial side, where think of marketing as on the traditional market hype. That's what marketing is. Marketing was the hype on the street, right? So if you heard someone's got whatever the slang term was for the day, whether it be chronic or Zaire, or now what's the new one, the Zaza, whatever it is.
Some of these things start in one coast and then they like bleed through. So like it was whatever it was in the East Coast, and then like 3 years later, despite internet being what it is, it kind of like washes through. And so us on the West Coast maybe get introduced to something. And it's like, no, we've been saying that for a while.
Yeah. So as much as everybody wants to say, yo, I don't care, that's all marketing, that's all BS, there's always marketing, even whether it's, traditional marketing that you see at the commercial scene, or the, marketing of the street, where somebody's, word of mouth is traveling, and the reputation of the product gets there before the product gets there. That works just as well. That works just as in the same way.
I had conversation with a fellow on LinkedIn very briefly, because somebody that I followed, if you guys are active on it, which I have to be, again, because social media and all that stuff. But I'm not super active, but I saw a conversation between two people, one person who's a geneticist who I respect, and for cannabis, and so another person who was slinging some seeds. Now, you could probably tell from the way I described them, I don't really agree with what their business practice was, which was basically, they basically disparage a bunch of people. Tell me if you've heard this before. Oh, only their seeds are F1s. Everyone else is poly times poly by S1 by whatever. And that was their argument. The geneticist friend of mine is all like, hey, do you like have any proof of that? like, because you could actually know, we could actually tell. And then there's like, so one of the things that testing, really screwed up for cannabis is now people just are always asking for tests, and you can't always do tests. And I just have faith with the people who I source my seeds from. And I'm like, then I comment that I feel like they have a professional don't they have a professional responsibility to like know what they're selling? And they're like, does everyone else does? And I said, yes. And it's like, I don't know. I know that obviously we didn't have
They're a pot
access to
calling the
things
kettle
that we do
black.
now. But yeah, exactly. It's absolutely the case, right, Jack? And I think that on the one hand, I understand the sentiment, but on the other, it's like, the standards that people expect of people in a professional setting are increasing, and with that comes to some degree some level of I don't know, thinking about what you're doing, a little bit of metacognition, and not just flying by the seat of your pants, I suppose, even though that's the romantic way to look at it, right? The
Honestly,
hustle.
what I'd really love to see is, I don't know, maybe there is an answer already, but I'd love to see the part, the caveat here is a cheap way that strains can be tested to determine what exactly they are, whether it's a DNA fingerprint of some sort, snapshot, or whatever, to identify plants for what they are, because I think that would clean up a lot of the issues in the industry if we can just, stop the
I
BS,
agree.
just say,
We just have to wait,
call a
Spartan.
plant what it is.
I have to cut you
instead
off
of
because
changing the name.
this is something it's going to happen. There's a thing called Moore's law where the compute power of a processor, I think, doubles every year or something, and it's twice as powerful and half as expensive and half the size. I think that's Moore's law. I could be misquoting it, but that's like
You are right. It's Moore's law, but you have an atomic minimum,
so. But
so it
with
doesn't
that,
go forever.
there is
We're already
now,
reaching it.
but the thing is that exists. It's a theory, actually. It's not like a law because I think it can be broken. But there's a new thing that's coming up, and it's been demonstrated in genomics with human genomes. The first human genome cost, I want to say, $1 billion to sequence or something. And it took years. The second one cost like 10 million or something like that. And then it was 1 million, and then it was 100,000, and then it was 50,000, and then it was 10,000. And it's quicker than doubling in the
You're right.
speed. And
Okay.
it's also at an exponential rate. It's cutting costs. So with cannabis and other genetic sequencing things, we're going to start seeing, while it is too expensive right now for us to sequence it and say, all right, this is blueberry, this is skunk, this is whatever. And there will have to be some sort of reference database, I believe, but I could be wrong about that. Maybe they will have they'll just know every single link, and then they'll be able to start categorizing them. But with time, it'll get more affordable. And so I do look forward to when that does come about. I think it'll be in a couple of years because there's already people doing it.
I have a friend who already. Oh, I agree with you. Sorry to cut you off. I'm just gonna say that a friend of mine, who is totally, I mean, as far as I know, is simply a home grower. And I don't mean that disparagingly. That's just the case. But despite that, in spite of that, they test their plants for sex testing, but also for something else, and for pathogen testing. Really, really commonly, they're asking me about hop latent viroid, and the fact that we can even go from putative infectious agent to
I'm done. Not tonight.
got a hot mic there.
I just muted him.
All right. The fact that we have we went from putative infectious pathogen or whatever, putative agent, to hop latent viroid in the span of several years, and now there's people who are able to send in their plants and pretty reliably and realistically get their testing back. Sometimes it's quite slow because they get so many orders, but you're right. That technology is, as I like to say, becoming democratized, and
COVID actually helped that. I hate to say it because the PCR testing was being used for COVID testing and other things during that time. And that's actually the process that Farmer Freeman uses. I think he uses like a qPCR, which is a home PCR.
Uses, but I agree with you, but I think that even before COVID in like 2019 and before, Q and regular PCR is super ubiquitous, super duper.
Right.
In
Yeah.
fact, I would say the opposite is true. The fact that it was so super duper ubiquitous made what we saw in 2020
Possible.
and yeah, exactly. Yep.
No, you're right about that. It was emerging
But
technology.
that
It
sure
kind of took hold.
facilitates it. That facilitates it for sure, though. Even more so, right? Even more massively.
Well, like no one
Well,
used to own personal computers. They used to be too expensive. Like a university would have one, and it'd be the size of a whole room. And now they're like, we all have laptops or cell phones that are 10 times as powerful as that computer was back in the day. And so I think the PCR is going to follow that same sort of trend a little bit.
Well, I understand that, but like what I look at, maybe I'm looking at it incorrectly, but to my understanding that the possibilities for the different cultivars of cannabis, it's way more diverse than even humans, for example. So there can be more unique versions of cannabis than there are unique versions of humans, and that's a lot already out there.
You're
And
right.
at the same
It's a
time,
little
it's
bit more
being
hectic.
created. How
Yeah.
many new breeders come out of the, how many new
Breeders.
breeders come out every day? There's thousands, tens of thousands of breeders creating new strains every single day. That's a lot of work to sequence every single one of those plants. So, I mean, yes,
They're
I
all working with the same
understand that-
material though, or a lot of the same material. It's like a lot of people are using
Yeah.
cookies, a lot of people are using OG. So then when they
They're
start
still
breeding with
unique.
it, it'll be like, look, this is like the cookies family of hybrids.
Oh, I
This
see
is
what you're
the
saying. It'll be in a
OG family of
category.
hybrids, the blueberry
Well, it's more
family
like
of hybrids.
I agree with that too. I mean, not it's more like, but it's kind of like the. It's more like a lot of times the amount of certain genes or whether they're expressed or not. Like you were saying, was like you're kind of working with the same material. You do get novelty, absolutely, and cannabis is one of those plants that is and not as easy to predict what you're going to get. So that's why that marker assisted breeding and things like that is so helpful. Because even if you don't have to be doing anything more complicated than just crossing everything, but knowing what you have at the beginning and then seeing and then like testing afterwards and seeing like how did it all mix together is very helpful, and then you can already be like, oh well, these plants don't have the traits that I'm looking. Once you link those traits, it's the combo of this gene does this or this group of genes do this, and that would make it do this, and I want that. So if I don't have the genes doing those things, then I already know out of pocket I don't want that.
And there's like sport mutations that pop up, and those things that will only express like if they're grown in Ohio because it has some weird little thing, or in California it has a different environmental barometric pressure and all these other light. Everything's really unique to the cultivation site, cultivators, input materials, and all that stuff plays a role, as we've seen with like the grow off having side by side same exact clone grown by 10, 20, 30 different people and always having different results every single time. So I agree with Spartan that like the genetic expression could be more unique than humans and varieties, and like the thousands of breeders that are putting out thousands of crosses every year. It's going to be tough to exactly know everything when all of it does come out, but I think we're going to just keep gaining more and more information, and we'll get more and more clarity as time goes. Green Table Garden Show asks, are we able to do genetic sequencing so easily with mushrooms?
How are we able to do genetic sequencing so easily with mushrooms?
Their name is Gardens, Green Table Gardens. I said Garden Show, but it's Green Table Gardens, and the word is how are we able to do genetic sequencing?
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
So yeah, it's I'll answer that question. It's the same way. It's just what Jack and Spartan were saying with the PCR. You use a similar sort of system. Apparently I've become aware that there are some people who think that like big mycology is like trying to keep people from knowing fungal phylogeny. I just want to say that's not true at all, because that's literally how I make my posts, is by going up and looking up the research, and have done it for decades plus, and they're not keeping us from any information. Maybe
it's pretty open source.
A paywall. Yeah, exactly. They want you to know about it. They would like you to learn more about it and know about it. Actually, it's usually the opposite. But yeah.
You got people like Tanasi Gardens who will, Sacred 3 Mushrooms. He has a whole website, grow kits, instructional guides. Like podcast teaching you how to do everything, giving you information on different types of spores and all that. It's like there's a
Oh yeah.
whole community of information, just like growing cannabis. Doesn't mean all of it's good. Sometimes it can be hard to
True.
sort through. And there's always, it's easy to be conspiratorial and think like, oh, this cabal is holding this information from us, when really a lot of these people, even like the elites, are like not as smart as they fucking think. So like behind closed doors, it's like really just disorganized chaos a lot of the fucking time. So it just might come down to you having to search a little bit harder or finding a good repository of information, like Matthew or others have, because it is out there for sure.
Yeah, and I'm similarly excited, since we're on the topic of like PCR, of like having the ability to, sure, individual genomes, and like what you said, Jack, very adroitly, the environment that things are grown in is obviously the other half, but another section of that is the extended genome, right? The microbiome and the bacteria and all the stuff. I've been working on the script writing. I finally pretty much finished for aphid, a new aphid video and a new scale insect video. And I deep dove these groups really aggressively, and I found it really insightful. And it's fascinating to see how things like people are aware of cordyceps mushrooms. I'm sure you are all here aware of that. And people who don't know, they're fungi that infect insects, usually very lethally. And some of them are even used in biocontrol. But there was some interesting examples of Ophiocordyceps, which are cordyceps that are symbionts of some scale insects. Pretty fascinating. A group of fungi that normally would kill their host actually helps them process the nutrients and other things in their diet that allows them to like eat a basically almost completely sugar diet, because they make several of the vitamins and things that they need to survive. So that kind of stuff happens. And much like with plants, we can find out all these nice little populations that can help us, and we can know what those traits are, and even cultivate ones that are superior at the thing that we want them to do. So that's cool, I think.
Very cool. And Brian 420 PM seconded the Sacred 3 mushrooms is a great place to go for the mushies. My first spawning in grain right now. Yeah, so they're happy.
Very
over
nice.
there. Tanasi's a good dude. I like to support him. But we had a question from Seed Person 1 who says, I'm putting together a PDF of everyone's favorite simple tip in the garden. Do you have a simple genius tip that blew your mind when you first heard about it? ? And I'll pass that to Tao because he's been awfully quiet over there.
Well, that's a really good question. I'm gonna go with buying earthworms. Was still my favorite maneuver so far.
Best investment as a grower, heck.
Yeah, but a little tip trick that I just recently learned is the old coat hanger in the corner of a tent. If you use those plastic ones, they work. But I had these other ones that were even like a little more flexible and flat. So they totally, because I had my exhaust sucking out of the top of my tent to pull out the heat, and yeah, it sucks in the sides, but that definitely keeps them open. So those are my two quick and easy ones.
Could you go into more detail about I'm not visualizing the coat hanger thing.
So essentially, the tent sucks in. If you see my hand like this, when the exhaust is coming, it bows in the wall of the tent like that. So in the corner, you slip a coat hanger around it, and that pressure from the coat hanger sort of pops it out so that it prevents it from being dragged in.
Okay. Now I see what you're saying. I was missing that crucial point, but now I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay.
And that was
very
a good
cool.
explanation.
Yeah, I like that.
And it actually works. Like, some things people, it works.
A lot of these like hacks, you have to actually like watch a video of like people trying the hack to see if it works. Like I've seen a lot of these garden hacks that like, a gardener who goes through all these garden hacks, and like a lot of them are just bullshit. But some of them actually work well.
The glut of like, hey, check out this neat trick that doesn't actually work but is flashy is like this social media poison that
it really is. Like, it's like a mental poisoning.
Disinformation
like
for clicks. Yeah.
It really is disinformation. And it's like problematic for sure. I hate that. And I'll give you good information because I know a lot of people on this panel may have done it or done it at some time and enjoy it. It's about as simple as you can get.
On that same vein, though, I want to, and I'm sure this is exactly what Tao still means, but not earthworms so much, but redworms, some kind of
Red
Oh, yeah.
wigglers in
The
particular.
red
Yeah.
wrigglers.
Red
There you
wiggler,
go.
yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah,
Good.
you said earthworm, and I know you didn't really
Yeah.
mean that, but yeah.
Fun
They
fact.
still will work. They're just outside. Those are good ones for outside because they go deep. And
It's
usually, if you're
not.
trying to-
Well, yeah. is
Most
earthworm
earthworms that
really
we
a
have are
sneak-
actually not great for us. Or I'm sorry, what I should say is they're exotic to like in North America. They messed up
Is that
a
true?
lot of the leaf litter.
Yeah.
What don't you
That's
know?
what they. I don't trust. I don't know if I could believe all that.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm sure they're eating the leaf litter, but how is that damaging?
It's
What
just
is
a
it
non.
damaging?
Oh, because they weren't there before. All I mean
It's
is
not
that
Right.
the
Okay. But are they
ecosystem.
hurting but they?
Lots
I've
of things.
listened to-
Lots of things evolved to like live in the leaf litter, and in North
Mm.
America, I mean, it's kind of been muted by the fact that like, well, we don't have the forest we used to have either. So
That's-
you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I
harder
know what
to
you
kind
mean.
of evaluate. Yeah, but a lot of things like live. Like think about mulch and how mulch has kept a lot of soil organisms and microarthropods alive, and so those exotic earthworms that eat up the leaf litter where they're from would
Robbing from them, right?
exactly kind of, but you know,
Okay.
it's like that's not to say that red wrigglers aren't impressively useful, and I support their use, but just a fun thing to think about. And it's not just red wrigglers; it's all kinds of other earthworms that are more earthy. You know, like I think Jack's kind of referencing here that they don't really come up to eat like detritus on the ground. They mostly stay in the
Isn't it like the
drillosphere.
European nightcrawler or
Yeah,
something.
European and African night crawlers too. But I think I
And
heard
jumping worms.
an NPR store segment saying that they were killing off the trees. I'm gonna go find. I'm gonna see what they said. But yeah, I don't know. Like I can't see it hurting much, but not like
Not
in the
anymore.
basin,
There's no
those
trees.
pits. Oh yeah, there's no forest litter anymore. Yeah, all the places we played army when I was a kid, they're all condo houses now or
Yeah.
other things. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, sad face, I guess. But like, but I want to ask you, in particular, like, it's the use of the earthworms, of the the red wriggler worms, in a vermicompost style cultivation, right? That's what you use all of that material. That's what you find super.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I have my own bin in my house, and before when I was like half stupid, I would say, I would take all my cannabis litter to like the dumpster in the middle of the night, throw it in there. Hopefully nobody saw me. And but now everything could go in there, and it's just a while. The stems are
No,
a
that
little
was common.
pain in the
Don't
butt.
feel bad because that was like the play. Everybody did that. Like you
Oh, yeah,
either
I know.
threw it
Yep,
away in your
yep.
own garbage and got busted, or you drove it
There
to
was-
like
there was
a
a
fucking
time-
local
Oh yeah.
dumpster.
There was a time when I didn't even trim bin my keep like my trim. I was
Yeah, like the
throwing out
sugar leaf. People weren't
leaves
making
for
bubble hash,
years, man,
weren't
'cause I
making
was a
bubble hash, weren't making
dumbass.
dry sift. That's crazy.
Dumbass. Yeah.
Dude,
It
you weren't
reminds
alone.
me of those.
Until I saw Jorge Cervantes do it, I never did it either. I started picking the
Until
shit
you
off the
learn.
floor.
That's why
I
now
love that stuff though.
is more worth more than money, almost, right?
And then
Yeah.
like Frenchie has refined that technique a lot with the ice water hash. I wouldn't use Jorge's technique anymore, but
yeah,
that's definitely a lot of people go with those old school techniques that they're taught. But my tip, I said it kind of briefly, but it's simple. It's just bottom watering your plant. Water it from the bottom. Like even if you just, I would say 75% of the time, water from the bottom, you'll probably, at least in soil or peat-based soils, become a better grower because the plants just, you're not going to overwater as much. And overwatering, I think, is something even experienced growers do on a semi-regular basis, because even if you're like lifting the pot, there's times where like I have done testing where I'll let the plant kind of dry out to what feels like it's light, and the leaves are still nice and perky and out for like another day or 2 days, and then they start to fucking fold and flop and look like they're going to die in the next half hour if they don't get some water. But until you push it to that point, sometimes you really don't know how long a plant can go, especially like a solo cup, like a young plant. It doesn't have a bunch of leaves. It's not, taking up tons of water. Or in a new like 1 gallon pot you just transplant it into, or 2 gallon, 3 gallon, however many gallons it is. If you've got a small enough plant and a lot of water in that media, maybe watering less at a time, or just trying to manage water. But I think bottom watering is like the tip that people like to overlook, because it seems really simple. Like, oh, how much could that actually change? Or like, my thought was, I want it to be like nature. I want it to be like rain falling down from the top, giving it water from above. And then I thought like, well, the greenest, healthiest places I always see when I'm hiking are like right by riverbeds, right by fresh water that the roots can go under the ground and then have access to water, but they also get water from up above. So I think a little bit of mix of predominantly bottom water and then occasional water like a rain that would come by works really well in my experience. And not to say that emulating nature is the only way to have success, but since I started bottom watering as a soil grower, my grows are about as fast as my cocoa grows were back in the day, and they're yielding as good or better with higher quality. So that's a huge, huge tip. I can't hammer it home enough, but I know I've been talking about it for like 5 minutes, but yeah, bottom water your plants. Try it.
Well, I'm gonna jump next because both you fuckers took my answers. So before I have to come up with yet another answer with Matthew taking it, I'm going to I want to jump in and say covering your soil. Covering your soil with something. It is kind of life changing because it is essentially it increases the size of your pot because now your roots can go all the way up towards the top of the soil and still live and still persist. And if you're a soil grower like I am and you're an organic grower like I am, it's more than likely that you top dress. And if your roots are already right there where you're top dressing, that's going to get there a little bit quicker. It's going to make the change better, or it's going to make the change in the plant faster. So I recommend, what I did, honestly, I started out with straw and that, which I liked a lot. I've tried hay. I tried a lot of different things. I tried cover crops, which I'm not a huge fan of for indoor. Outdoor, I think that's great, but not indoor. And what I've settled on now is I'm just reusing the stuff I'm trying to close loops, right? So when I harvest my plant and I take all the plant material, all the buds off my stems, and I'm left with the skeleton of the plant because I have whole plant hangs. That skeleton I chop into about 1-inch pieces, and I use that as my mulch. I save that, and I use that to mulch my plants. But you save so much water because a lot of the water that you're watering your plants is evaporating into the air and getting pulled out of the air by your dehumidifier, which you're having to pay to run. So if you can avoid evaporation on top of the soil, it's going to save you money in multiple ways that you might not see right from the get. But
even just an exhaust fan is yanking that moisture out whenever your plants are, respirating or perspiring. Transpiring. There we go.
Evapotranspiring, actually.
There we go. That's the proper. But yeah, once I started earth boxing it, that was like the combo of those two things. It was like it came with that shower cap the first time, and I was bottom watering after the first watering. Like I watered the whole batch of soil and then I covered it and I started filling it from the bottom. That changed my life as a grower. I was like, it grows like hydro, but it's all organic inputs. It's just ridiculously easy, ridiculously fast. And now I even took that, like Spartan just said his tip, cover your soil. Well, I was only doing it in flower. I'm like, well, why am I not covering my pots in veg, my solo cups, my 1-gallon pots? So I started using rice hulls, just paraboiled rice hulls from Bill Soil, cheap. I got a huge ass bag. I've been using it for years. Just take a little handful and top dress at the very end. And when you go to transplant, like I thought it was gonna be such a pain in the ass and like messy, but you can kind of just like pour them off into like your main soil thing because it's aeration and it's not going to harm anything, and it's pretty effective. So I mean, yeah, definitely a huge fan of making sure that your top layer stays covered, because just like bottom watering, I think in soil, that's one of the ways to increase speed and health and just plant performance generally. Stangman, actually before
I have my
I have a tip from Matthew I wanted to get in there as well. Matthew.
Yeah, that's right. I do. Longtime followers who know what I'm going to say, which is crop scouting. But if you're already doing that, the little extra effort, I think, is worth it. Not only commercially, but home grow wise. Keep a record. It's very tempting. You just make an observation and keep it in your head. But if you have like a system, very simple, where it's just like, where it's structured very succinctly, like I found these pests, and obviously if you're only growing like 3 or 4 plants or something, you not necessarily have to make like a map or anything like that. But if you happen to grow more than that, you might add like a location factor to that. Like, oh, mostly I notice I get my spider mites near the entrance of my room or whatever. That kind of stuff over time. And again, if you want to go a little extra and you get one of these apps or other programs where you can digitally record and then have like a visual, a graphical representation of like, oh, I got pests here. I applied this many biocontrols, then the bar graph goes, shows you there, and then the population careens down. You can like track efficacy and how long it took, and all of that stuff is really crunchy data that you can use to inform your decisions in the future. And you don't have to like get super elaborate with it. I think that stuff is, I am very sad to say, super slept on.
Underutilized, no doubt.
Underutilized, absolutely.
I talked to thousands of growers, and I know maybe literally one handful that do something like
I
that.
know. Isn't that surprising? I think it's
One
surprising
handful.
as hell.
Like I know 2 or 3 people, and then like for sure that do it, and then like a couple others. It's very rare. So it's something that I think if people implemented, they would see less problems and fix the problems a lot sooner. But it's one of those diligence things where it's like, if you're not having problems, it's tough to stay diligent until it hits you in the face. And then sometimes it's too late. So you can avoid a lot of pain by being diligent on things like that. We do have a question from Stangman. And before we get to that, I wanted to say for the purposes of our good friend who asked the question earlier, I deleted it. It was Sweet Person One, I'm remembering now, who just asked that last question. We did a show a while back, and it's episode number 154, 6 ways to increase yield. And I'm kind of made that title to make it more, attractive or whatever, but it was really 6 tips, like 6 growing tips from each member of the panel. And a couple of them I actually remember from that episode were mentioned just now, but there's at least 3 or 4 more if you want to go through there for tips for your book or PDF or whatever you're going to be making, because that sounds like an awesome project there. See Person One, we appreciate you on that. And we got another question from Minnesota grower. If you water from the bottom, will you get a salt layer / ring? So I'm suggesting this more so for organic growers. If you're bottom watering, that'd be the case for if you're in like a amended soil. If you're using salts, there is an issue with bottom watering, like especially, I know Spartan, I think you had in the past a system, the Octopod or something like that, something that watered automatically from below. And
yeah, it was Aqua. I think Aqua. No, it's a famous one.
I know,
it's from Europe. I can't think of it right now. Autopot. It's
Autopot.
Yeah. Yes.
I was thinking like Octovalve, but that's a different thing anyway. But yeah, essentially, if you're growing with salts during that dry down period, you can start to have salt layers build up either on the top or the bottom, depending on like which direction it's drying out and where the water is coming from. Because in that case, I think it was like a float valve on the bottom, and the pot kind of sat on top of like a plastic little tray. And then the float valve, once it got empty, would fill the tray up with water, and then that water would be soaked up through the medium. But some of them, instead of doing that, would do like top watering. And so there's auto watering systems that can prevent the salt layer. If you're going to do a salt system, I would do something more like Dr. MJ, where you have like halos that are watering from the top. But for I should have specified that if you're going to be bottom watering, I would only really suggest doing that in an organic setup. If you're going to be using hydroponic nutrients or salt nutrients, I would suggest using cocoa. I found that to be the highest performance, but also least risk. Like, I really liked RDWC, but there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong in DWC or RDWC. So you might get a little bit better performance, but cocoa is like really close and has a lot more fail safes. So if I was going to do cocoa again, I wouldn't bottom water, and I wouldn't go through a few of those different processes. But yeah, I hope that answers your question there, Minnesota grower. Thank you very much for asking. And
the issue is the salt buildup tends to be at the top of the soil where the evaporation is happening. So mulch layer again might help with that. But the salt layer is at the very top. If you continue to bottom water, it's not a huge issue. It's still an issue, but it's not a huge issue. Where it becomes an issue is if you try to top water anything at that point, because then you're driving those salts back down into the root zone. But to have the salt layer sitting at the top, it will work. There, I've seen a couple comments in chat saying I've bottom fed salts successfully. Yes, you can do it successfully, but there's some dangers. You will have salt buildup usually, depending on how much salt you're feeding, I suppose. And it's going to build up at the top where the evaporation is happening. And that's going to be not too much of an issue if you continue feeding from the bottom. But if you were to switch it up and do a top watering, that's going to drive those salts, and that's where you're going to burn your plants. But I'm with Jack. I generally would recommend bottom watering for organic situations only, and that includes, I'm kind of picking at Smart Poker a little bit because he had said something about, like, in cocoa, he thinks that top watering fertigation is the way to go, which that's the classic way, and that works very well for sure. But I've successfully done again and again and again a living cocoa sip container, all the things people say you can't do, and I did it, and it was just Coco Loco, which is an amended cocoa, amended with worm castings and a bunch of organic inputs, and it grew very well that way with bottom water. But there's so many ways to grow, man, and sometimes just have fun with it and try things instead of someone saying you can't do that. That doesn't work. Try it, see if it works.
It's like Johnny. He was like, "Hey, I'm going to start cloning in sand." Like, I didn't see anybody else in the cannabis space doing that, but it's a common thing in citrus cloning. So he tried it. It worked great for him. And there's a whole bunch of other things like Seed Person One, upside down clone. I'm sure there's people out there that are like, this isn't going to work. I actually was one that I was like, I know this is going to work because I've seen in nature the creeper plants that would have their lower branches grow down into the ground and start growing roots out the side of them, or even people would bury them, and then it would create kind of a more structure for the plant. So I always kind of felt like that was a thing that would have happened, but it was cool to see it implemented in like a very artificial environment that he like forced it to happen. Like, he chopped the branch off and it's like, I'm going to take this very top part of the branch and bury it and just let it happen. And it basically re-vegged almost, like from a tiny little node, that one leaf, to all the way having harvest. But Stangman, who we had a few weeks ago come on and show his garden, I believe, and then thought he didn't have pests, ended up having pests. So back to Matthew's point, crop scouting does pay off. It can really help you. And their question is related to a IPM related product. So Sentinel, do you like Dr. Zyme's Eliminator or Lost Coast Plant Therapy every 2 to 3 weeks in veg only? Or do you like another IPM product? Thank you. Person waving turquoise. I don't know. I think that might have been like an emoji that didn't come through. And then like a thinking
It does
face,
seem that way.
100.
100.
That's his
Yeah,
pronoun.
so-
No, I'm joking.
So it seems like I feel like they're like products like these. I'll say this, it's a doctrinal question. I've taken to using this phrase quite a bit because it's so true. As a matter of course, I don't generally recommend applying a spray product, no matter what it is, like preventatively, if you can avoid it. However, some people just seem to always get pests, and they've built up other sorts of layers to their IPM. And for them, it just makes more sense because I feel like it can be wasteful. The reason is economic, and it's also because when you spray even softer, products and things like that, you have all these sort of like small knockoff effects. And if you're using biocontrols or if you want to use something else, you're going to be restricted and you can have some interference there. So just for that reason, I tend to be like, if you're going to spray something, either spray it because you have like a historical precedent that like maybe you get, I don't know, aphids or spider mites or some soft-bodied insect, like I said in the comment section, and then apply onto them because you know they're going to be coming in springtime or whatever. And you use your crop scouting to kind of dictate that and react quickly. I think that's better. But to answer the first part of the question, yeah, I think these products can be very useful for people, and they are more desirable, but they also have limitations, right? So it's important to know what like soft-bodied insect means. I went over that in my recent Pestapalooza when I was up in Long Island. That was a big question, and also questions about whether or not they can integrate those products with other spray products. And that's, oil-based products, for those who don't know, a lot of people in the chat, I think, do know, but in case you don't, like sulfur and other things like that, they can be wildly problematic, and they can cause burning and things like that. They do not mix very well. So a
Yeah,
lot of
it's
these
really,
horticultural oils are useful, but you got to know their strengths and limitations.
and I think it's important, Matthew, and yeah, I've heard you say this many times, but it's important for the people to take it one step further and just know the method in which it's doing the pest control. Like if you know, like an oil, okay, that's working as like it's suffocating them. So that tells me you've got to hit the bug for that to work. It's not like if it touches it, it's going to kill the bug. Usually, you got to hit it. You gotta soak the bud. So think of
Like a
that.
deluge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So you got to really spray your plants. And some people are real. Well, they don't get full plant coverage, like I like to say. You get full plant coverage.
Exactly. Especially if you're used to using products that maybe you shouldn't use because they're systemic or whatever. And I mean, certainly in agriculture in general, that's a lot of times the sort of shock is that they didn't have to worry about coverage because it would just seep right into the tissue and kill whatever was feeding on it.
And be in the
Um,
plant
and
for maybe
and if
years
they
to
did it
come.
really badly, you too. Yeah, that was the joke I was going to make things. But you're right, exactly. Good on the trigger, Jack. I'm glad you make that point because now people are moving to other products that are safer but they require that contact, like Spartan is saying here. So you have to get that full coverage, not too much that you like maybe drench the plant if it's sensitive or something like that. But oftentimes I don't normally run into that problem, but that can happen too. But enough that like all enough of the product, like a suffocant or something that's got some toxin in it that kills insects, but it's not problematic for like mammals, like pyrethrin, for example. Unless you're a cat, be careful, cat owners. But that kind of stuff. You got to know all those details, and it would really be tragic if you didn't accommodate for that.
I will say it also depends on what your pests that you're fighting has been exposed to. I got some clones. I've shared the story a few times from a local clone nursery here in Southern California. And they said, "Oh yeah, they're clean, bro, totally clean." But I didn't trust them as I shouldn't. And I isolated them. I put them in a separate little, containment area. I'm forgetting the term for that. Quarantine, I think, is what you do.
That's
Quarantine the
right.
clone. And so I looked at them. They looked good for the first couple days, and then suddenly I started seeing like signs of spider mites, and I didn't treat it immediately. But like within however long it takes them to form webbing, a couple days, I think, depending on the heat. But they started webbing up these clones, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try and fight it with what I've got on hand, which was the amazing Dr. Zymes, I believe is what they call it, eliminator. What this Stangman actually just asked about. And they laughed at that. They were like, ha ha ha, I will swim in your Dr. Zymes and be not bothered at all. So then I was like, all right, I'm going to try some Lost Coast plant therapy. I've had that work as like a knockdown in the past. My buddy, my barber, I had him use that on like, skewers. And I told the story in the past with combination with predators, did a really good job of getting rid of his spider mites and flower and allowing him to get his first harvest. But this time I tried the Lost Coast plant therapy on its own after trying the unsuccessful Dr. Zymes eliminator. Then they laughed at the Lost Coast plant therapy as well. And I had nothing else on hand. And I didn't really care so much about these clones. Like I kind of wanted one of them, but the others I was just like indifferent about. So at that point, I just kind of gave up on it and decided to destroy them and say, fuck it. I don't want to invest more money into additional IPM to treat these like decent to
You should have
shitty
got the
clone.
sulfur, Jack. Did
I
you
didn't
ever
have
use
it
the sulfur?
on hand, and I already had the oil, so I figured.
Oh
Thinking the
yeah,
same-
once
we're
you did
thinking
the
the same
oil,
thing.
that was it. You were stuck on the oil for a couple weeks at least.
I would
Yeah,
have
so
sprayed the hell out of them in the bathtub upstairs.
A big
Just
thing to
sprayed the
say.
hell out of them.
I want to say that
Water.
Jack's experience is something that I've seen with other people, and I think that it's really important. Like I'm not trying to defend anyone here. I have no like relationship with Dr. Zymes or Lost Coast or anything like that, and I try to keep it that way for impartiality's sake. But the thing is that um, the like Spartan said, it's the context, right? And what Jack said too, like what have they been exposed to, or what are some other potential complications? Like getting them, they might not have lapped as much if maybe you killed a smaller fraction of them And if you had caught them earlier, maybe it would have been better that way. Not blaming any grower in that capacity, but
well, I should have gotten to it.
But
sooner.
you're right.
But at the same time, what I had wasn't going to work, I don't think, because later when I told the guy, hey, these are fucking covered in spider mites, he goes, oh yeah, I've been treating them with Lost Coast and the Amazing Dr. Zymes for months, but I thought that I had it taken care of. Sorry, bro, it'll be fine. Just keep on doing it and they're going to go away. And I was like, oh, I got totally, I didn't it wasn't a big investment money wise. It was relatively average to,
you expect their clones to be clean. You expect them to be
well,
clean,
I'll say
right?
this. I've gotten clones from 2 nurseries that were commercial, and I've gotten pests from those 2 nurseries. I've gotten clones from 2 friends, and both friends gave me clean clones. Not to say that your friends won't give you dirty clones. I'd say don't even trust a clone if it's from your mother, because they might give you fucking root aphids, or that's what I got from the other commercial one, root aphids. That's a fucking fun one to deal with, right? But yeah.
I usually try to be extra nice and dip those clones in sulfur before I pass them to my friends, so they have sulfur dipped.
There you go.
When they get them, I'm like, look, those have been dipped in sulfur on this day. You're good for at least a week.
And
avoid oils.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is possibly the other option potentially, but again, it's a cost benefit analysis. And I think Jack's a conclusion in that scenario was totally valid. Absolutely. And only you will really know whether it's worth it for you or not. But, maybe be really aggressive and like Spartan was saying, disruptive, and hit them. And other people in the chat were saying maybe mix it up with a different product, in between or something like that. You can do all those things if it's worth it. If it's worth
alcohol, if you have thrips, to add I think it's isopropyl alcohol, 1 ounce per gallon or something, to help fight thrips with the Lost Coast plant therapy. I think Spartan.
Yeah, it's equal parts. So whatever you're spraying with the Lost Coast, mix in the same amount of ISO, and that's going to help with the thrips.
I would advise not to take in clones at all, because
it's a wild world out here.
Yeah.
Do y'all see who's trying to join? Does anybody know this person's name? We have a Jeremy S. I don't want to say their last name because it seems like a government name.
Yeah, Jeremy Shea. Oh, well.
But yeah,
maybe. I don't know if it's the same person or not.
Do they want to join? If Jeremy, if you're listening, if you want to join under that name, you can. I don't know if you have a Spartan Grown goes, he tells us his name is Russ, and that's no secret. But his name says Spartan Grown on the screen. So if you want to come under your, YouTube or Instagram or whatever name, you can. If not, we'll allow the Jeremy S to join us here in just a moment.
Because there is a Jeremy S in chat, so it's probably the same.
That would make sense.
That if that's the case,
tell us in chat if that's you or something.
They got to be from the chat, because I sent the link out only here. So we'll take the risk here. Jeremy, we're counting on you. The Cheap Home Grow is what I'll do is I'll spotlight my own face.
So right, and then you can see what he looks like before anybody else on one. Yeah, that's all.
Sorry, everybody, you get to see my beautiful mug for a little bit. Here with my cat Tallulah.
Tallulah, puppy.
You can hear her purring into the microphone.
Yes, she's grabbing that mic.
Very happy cat.
She's not shy.
She's like, I'm ready for the audience. I'm the real grower here. It's actually my other cat, Sanka. I call him Sanka the Rasta, the guy from Cool Runnings. But that cat, I've had him from a kitten, and he legit, if my plants are dry, he'll start harassing the tent or the cabinet that they're in. He knows, you need to give them water right now. And he's just
hey, he's your watering system. That's cool, man.
Yeah. He lets me know every time. When I was stress testing the Velvet Punch F3s, he was going crazy, man. He was not happy. Hey, Jeremy, I see that you are filming the floor. I just spotlighted myself so you don't accidentally show your face. Are you comfortable with us using your full name? I'm letting Seed Person and Smot Poker / Crispy Waterby into the room as well. Jeremy, can you hear us? Can you talk?
Excellent.
Oh, their audio is connecting still. So I can see Jeremy's garden. I see a plant in a pot, but everybody's just looking at my lovely face while well, you know what? At this point, I can see that they have a plant. They're not going to they're a grower. You're cool, Jeremy. You're cool with
and
us.
That's the Shea. Yeah, Jeremy Shea. I didn't want to say Shea unless it was all right, but
that's Jeremy from chat. Cheers, Jeremy.
Yeah.
You can unmute yourself whenever you're ready, and you got here first, and then I'll welcome Seed Person 1 and Smart Poker and Crispy here in just a second. We're gonna let you Maybe turn your camera to the side so we can see the full screen.
Spotlight him too, because
I'm about to.
or is
Boom.
he? Okay. That looks like a nice big healthy plant, dude.
Yeah, that's a
That's my volunteers of my seed line I'm working on.
Nice. Wait, what's the genetics on it?
That's my F3 generation.
Nice.
This is my S1 up my select. This is a BX1. And there's my select cut. My clone from last year.
He looks healthy, happy.
Looks like a great choice.
Yeah, it's
How many
I've
times
been
did you
working
top
on
that? That is spread out nice, man.
yeah, I had it all laid out
Oh,
when
okay.
it was in the house.
That's
And,
beautiful.
I've been like just letting it straighten out now.
It looks great. You did a great job prepping.
Yeah, I've been working on these for a while. Well, definitely the best cross I've made.
What kind of genetic
yeah.
lineage and what time of the year do you typically get harvests where you're at?
About the beginning of October. I'm in central Michigan.
Making me proud. Making me
It's,
proud.
Michigan can pull some killer outdoor. I've seen a lot of people.
This is
making it work.
AK-47 male over NL5 female.
That's classic, dude.
Oh, yeah,
I love
like
that.
the
That's
sound of
old
that.
school.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. That's all I got to show for now.
All
All
good,
right,
man.
dude.
Well,
Thanks.
we were very thankful to have you and cool to show off. I have some F3s as well. And it's fun to take a plant that far. You get to learn a lot throughout the different generations.
They
Seeing
look
it.
great
Yeah.
too. Nice job, man.
Yeah, she's a power hitter. She got the terps, everything. Got a nice open bud structure, so we don't get the mold. And
Awesome
really
stuff.
heavy
You need that
resin.
where you guys are at with the rain and cold early.
Yeah, harvest time it's wet. Harvest and dry time. Oh, that's another thing I like about her. That's how I make my clones.
You're making Michigan proud, man. You got Michiganders are definitely representing the cannabis community very,
Just
very
stick 'em in the
strongly.
dirt.
Oh, he sticks him in the dirt, puts the pot over him.
Yep.
That's
That one's probably rooted already. It's been in
It
there.
looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it eating itself. Yep. Yeah, these I just put
That's
in
cool,
a couple
dude.
days ago.
That's smart. The white pot, especially, because it gives it some light.
Yeah.
A little ambient light peaks.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
Great
keeps the
idea.
humidity in there for him. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
It was our pleasure. Honestly,
Yeah,
this is
Let somebody else get in here.
All right, thanks
We're
for
happy
showing
to
that,
have
man.
you.
That's
Thank
really
you.
cool.
Yeah.
We don't see a lot
Happy
outdoor.
Father's Day.
Yeah, me too. I'm going back to the chat.
All right.
I think next up was Seed Person 1. I can't remember. It was either you or Poker and Crispy.
Yeah, I'm still on here.
So
Hey,
I can.
cheers, everybody. We're rolling up a hammer, so maybe Seed Person can go first. Is that all right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
That's
a
I
got
good
you.
excuse on this show.
I love that. That's the reason that you're not to get a mic right now is you got to take care of the roll. I see you guys roll big fats. That's growers should.
That's an acceptable excuse. So what are we looking at, Seed Person?
I got to spotlight you.
All
So
right.
I'm fighting the cat off again.
You're good, man. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on in here. So first I'll go over here and say, I don't know if y'all saw my post, but I got bud rot on one of my plants here in this tent and had to take down the alien OG. And then I very quickly harvested the green crack, and then the Grand Champagne came right after. And as soon as the herbs now is done, I'm going to take down this train wreck here. So that's pretty much finished up anyways. And then over here, I got a male 9-pound hammer here.
Nice.
So I'm going to do a little pollen collection and hopefully send some to our buddy Artman, he's going to hit his Flow OG with it and make some seeds.
Nice.
Yo, are you being careful? That pollen is probably flying around everywhere already.
These haven't opened up yet.
You better be careful.
I've been checking them very carefully. Yeah, I've been looking everywhere.
I mean, telling you, you'll come in there one day, there'll be one that's, you'll see powder on a leaf and be like, oops.
Well, I'm not too worried about it because this one's pretty much finished
Done,
up. So it'll be out of here in like 3 days. by that time, this one will be ready to maybe start dropping some pollen. I'll turn all the fans off.
There you go.
Probably
Yeah,
tilt the
yeah.
whole thing a little bit and put a sheet of parchment paper down to collect it. Then
But
I'll,
even
I'll bleach
be
the whole
careful
tube.
of all your other areas, you know, because that pollen will make it there. It will.
Yeah, coming because they're right next to each other. But I'll keep them closed, and I'm gonna spray everything down with a mister and stuff. So,
There you go.
we'll see. And then this one is gonna go in that tent when that's all done. This is a platinum float in a 10-gallon, and I switched over to using peat, just the Pro Mix, and I like it a lot better, I think, than the Fox Farm soil.
You switched to
some of
just,
these are,
did you say just Pro Mix? Is that you said you went
yeah,
to?
just
Yeah.
plain Pro Mix BX.
Nice.
Yeah, so I like that with the GH newts. I'm slowly dialing in what I really like here. You know, what's my
What's cool
style
about
of
the Pro
growing,
Mix
so.
is it's got less in it, so it's like you get to pick what's in it, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Oh,
So this is
is
the
that
smallest
re-veg?
auto here.
Oh, it's an auto. Okay, nice.
Yeah. So that
Nice.
was just for fun. I got some of these are super freaks here. They're regs, so
Yeah,
I'm
those
gonna
are
do some
cool,
sex
man.
testing on them.
Dog
This
Doctor's
is
grown that a
Scrubs.
couple times. It looks really, really cool. That's super.
Yeah, that's what I couldn't get it out of my head once I saw it. I was like, I gotta try it. So it's very cool. He inspired me to do that. This is Scrubs right here, Scrubs Parlay. He was
Nice.
here. I don't know if he's still here. And then these are autos right here. This one is Banana 6 from Ethos. And then I'm doing a little bit of reversal on it, or trying to. So I've been spraying this branch right here with, this is called the Doctor's Own Feminized Seeds.
Okay. Must be
So
some
it says
sort of STO.
it's like some sort of, yeah, something like that, colloidal silver or something. So I've been spraying this branch here, and I'm hoping to get some feminized pollen off of that and hit this lilac diesel back here, and make some fem auto seeds as well.
So that tent is in flower right now?
No, this is a veg space right here, 24 hours on.
All right, so don't you have to spray that when you're gonna make it flower?
It's an auto, so I can kind of
Okay.
see the pistil starting to form, so I know I
There
got
you
like
go.
about 2
Perfect.
weeks or
Okay.
so, and yeah, so
All right.
it's gonna start bolting here in like 6 or 7 days, I think.
Got you. You probably got it perfect. Good work.
And these two are the same age right here, actually.
That's pretty cool to be able to do some breeding in your veg tent, man. Just breeding your veg tent, breeding autos, not having to worry about it spreading to the flower rooms.
Right, and I'm not trying to make any money off this. This is just for fun. So I'll send them out to anybody that wants some seeds if I get some, and yeah, it's just for fun.
Awesome, man.
So the last thing I had to show was this root. You guys see that? That's the upside down clone right there.
Oh wow, dude.
Spot post, but
So
live.
so the branch that's going up actually had to turn around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it was on the plant at first, this main
Yeah.
branch right here, that was like that. And I took
So
all
of
the
those
nodes off and turned it upside
Boy.
down and put it in like that. So this would have been the top of the plant right here, but it was in the soil, and then the soil was up to about here where my fingers are. So all these
Okay.
little branches grew out. It went in without any branches on it, and then these all grew out of the soil from underneath.
Wow.
Right? That's crazy.
So yeah, that was I thought that was really, really cool. So
And would
but
you
yeah,
say they grew
that's
out of where a node was?
yeah, just about.
I always
like it
find that when I
regrew.
take cuts, I always take a cut down just past the node and then make sure the node is towards the bottom because it seems like it always roots first. It always has growth first. I think there's a lot of the hormones concentrated there.
Yeah, it was all stripped, and then it went in, and then yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
I got
dude.
about a
That's
little
cool.
jar of it over here. You know, it's not the greatest, but I'm gonna smoke it. It's gonna be fun.
What's it smelling like to you?
So yesterday it smelled like sort of like a strawberry wine.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
it's kind of like a strawberry, fruity, floral wine smell.
Nice.
It
That
was
sounds good.
the strain was Grand Champagne,
Yeah,
which I also
2020
have in the.
Mendocino.
Yeah, I got another one in the dryer that I grew from a different seed. So it'll be cool to see the difference on those two as well.
We keep losing Jack. But
Yeah, I know.
Jack
So what's going on?
came back. Oh, he's back.
His internet must be funky.
There he is. He's back. Oh, there you go.
But anybody else can
Almost.
go.
Yeah, we need Jack back to highlight somebody.
I
Thanks
apologize.
for
My
joining
connection
us again,
is
Seed
fucked.
Person. You are back now, though, Jack.
I'm trying review. And did we lose and Crispy?
No, they're showing the big plants
Okay, shit. There we go.
Showing us
and
a
smoking
nice,
a joint.
yeah, nice little.
I'm gonna
dude.
jump back into the chat, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
showing
coming
your
up,
grow,
Seed
man.
Person.
It was good hearing from you again. I love seeing your grows, man.
Those were two great tours, right? See,
Really awesome.
Yeah, they were. What do you
That,
got there, though, Smart? Those look like old school, like sativa and
That one in the
wood
back right
somewhere.
corner is the one I want to know
Yeah.
instantly about.
hey, these are all auto flowers, man. They're about 50 days
Wow.
old. We started them on 420 for the Cocoa for Cannabis Spring Auto Flower Challenge. These two up front here are called Sticky Dickies. One's
Oh,
been
we've
manifold.
heard about that one before.
Yeah, we did a little video to show that you can manifold your auto flowers and do 3 pod ups and they'll still get nice and large, you know. Not
Yeah,
to
you have
believe.
some large sticky dickies in there, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, man.
Just watch out for balls on the sticky dicky.
Hey, I
Yeah,
know.
you are.
Doc MJ, you know, this one here looks a little wispy, you know, like the buds aren't not really, they got a while yet, but I'm still not as excited. This Crystal Pinkman back here has got some real trites coming and it's starting to fill in about a good 18 inches down through there. It's a 4x4 count. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
that's
guys can
looking
see some of
nice.
that.
I like the
Yeah,
way
that's
stacked.
looking like a lot more good all around. Huh? A little thicker. Yeah.
Tell me about that one.
Yeah. This is the Crystal Pinkman. I can't remember, but if you look, I mean, it's really budding deep down in there.
Here, we'll-
It's pretty indica kind of looking to me
Mhm.
too, which always I like.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
got a it's these front ones here, Tal. I wanted to tell you they smell like a rubber ball, kind of like Amy Ace's. It's weird.
Oh, okay.
I can smell it now from brushing up to get them. Hey, this one back here is untopped. It was real sick. You can still see the purple stems. See it?
Yep, yep.
But it's
And the
been
green on top.
Yeah, so I never potted it up. It's only in a 1 flower, and it's like 4 foot tall. It's only in a 1 gallon
Wow.
pot, 4 foot tall, man.
That's cool.
That's awesome, dude. How many times is that water? That gets watered a lot, huh?
No, these are. Oh, I'm sorry, babe. These are twice a day fertigation. They're taking. It takes
Even the one in the
about-
back?
Yeah, even the one in the back twice a day. It's probably
Okay.
why because we refused to give it any special treatment for a long time, and then all of a sudden, you know.
We didn't think she was gonna make it really, because being an autoflower, you go
Yeah.
up front, and then they can pay you back in the long run.
This one here, we just kind of went buck wild on this one. Said let her
That's-
rip, you know.
Look at the
We
node
call
spacing on that. That's fucking insane, bro. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, these the 4x4 tent would easily be filled if we didn't let them grow straight up like spires and kind of lay them down. But I hate to do that, especially on this, because I never like to. I always feel like this is a very low stress point and it breaks. And that's catastrophic, obviously,
Yeah.
especially a lot of.
Especially
So I kind of
on-
let them grow up. I'm not wanting to like pin shit down to my substrate. I like this air down here. I don't, I see. So try to keep that cleaned up, but
I'm with
Yeah,
you.
they're fun, man. They're really doing good for us, and it's a fun grow. We got another tent here, and then if we have time, I was hoping to maybe show you guys our outside vegetable garden. We
Oh, I'm down, man. You're talking right up my alley.
These plants got sick on us. I have two theories that I believe was the cause. For about a week, we lost them. Can you see the messed up leaves there on the lower in the mid level?
Just a
See
little
that?
bit.
Yeah. So two things happened. They got really cold for about 3 days, and these are pots that they will finish in. We're going to do all these in here and flower them up. And oh, by the way, those other plants are 2 times a day fertigation, about a half a gallon per time to get 10% runoff. So the disposal coming out of that tent is very minimal, you know, per day or whatever. So, but these are all photo periods that are feminized here. And then I want to tell you about 2 of these are kind of special. Actually, 2 of these are special because we made them here and not on purpose. All right, so I'll do this one first. This is a Mac. We had a Mac feminized that hermed, and I don't know why, and it pollinated an apple fritter, and then we got one seed out of the whole plant, and my wife threw it outside with our beans, and the son of a bitch started growing outside, and in Pennsylvania here, that's not cool. So
what's the name? You got a name for that yet?
Not yet, but she was able.
People in chat are saying that the spotlight is off. So.
Oh, they want.
Can we confirm that?
Well, Jack, I don't know if Jack can get it or whoever, but yeah, right now nobody's spotlighted. But it would be cool. Spotlighted.
This plant was outside, so she dug it up, man, as a little plant, just a little 2 nodes or a little 2 first leaf plant, less than a week old. And I was thinking, there's no way you're going to break a lot of shit. Well, she was able to dig it out. It drooped for about a day and switched seamlessly from soil to cocoa, inert cocoa with nutrients. I actually was blown away by that. I didn't know it would be that easy of a transition, and I'm not sure if it would work every time, but
yeah, I think I find that works that way, but the other way, not so much. But like if you want to go from cocoa with the salt base and you try to go to organic, they usually suffer a little bit till they can figure out how to eat again. But going the other way, they take right off. It seems like there's no hiccup.
And then immediately chelated.
And then this one here, it's a little bit older. See, these plants are like 3 weeks old, man. We lost a whole week's worth of growth. 3 weeks from seed, you know. We lost maybe 5 days of, I think they got cold, or I had some rapid start that I'd found that I think fermented. It really whacked my pH a little bit. So I kind of used it as a pH down. And looking back, I'm thinking that was a dumb move, you know. And I think one of the 2 or a combination of the both caused me some headaches. But we kept our due diligence and applied like the things that we know and have seen work over and over, which is continue watering, lower the light, make sure the environment's on point, and kind of like don't push them at all. And they came right back. And it feels good to get them. You guys know that.
I like it.
Yeah, they're breathing again. Hey, this one here is a little older. This is a mimosa that was feminized by that same Mac plant in that tent. So 2 feminized plants.
That's exciting.
We don't know what the hell it'll do, man. I don't know much about breeding or any of that shit, but I just know people tell me you can't just take 2 cool ass plants, slam them together, and expect to get an.
Dude, there's a million examples of that being awesome. So don't listen to that.
Right.
Crap.
So it's worth the space, and we have enough feminized photos from real good breeders, for like Grow Room 420 sent us a couple of these, and the other MSNL. But we're happy about this one. It's a little older. We chopped it down a couple times to try and hold it back so they could get equal size. And so those 2 there are the ones that we kind of accidentally made. This is the Godfather OG photo, and this one over here, this wee lass is MK Ultra.
Cool.
And it's all the way in the back there. This one here is the OG Kush cross with Diesel from Grow Room 420. This is Northern Lights from Grow Room 420. And then this, I believe, is Ghost Train Haze. So we got all those different.
That's a good start. Shout out Grow Room 420, man. Those guys, I haven't been over there for a while. I need to stop back over. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah, breederscollective.com. Very cool.
Yeah, GMO out there. Shout out to those guys.
Pheno and
Yeah,
GMO.
Kino, yep. You guys
That's
are
the
awesome.
right
Hey.
group.
I wanted to shout out Tao because we're smoking Violet Beauregard. That's what's in this right now, what we're smoking. And,
Huh.
she's
She's
very
Awesome. Thank you.
That's awesome.
She's finer than a new set of snow tires, Kyle. Hard buds. It's a beautiful thing. That and Amy Ace was the same way. And then Kyle, I want to say, was nice enough to send us out to Stacy, which is Comrade Cross of Blueberry, and it's going to get this tent the very next run. So without taking up any more time, I'll try to shut up and maybe run outside real quick and show you what we got going out there.
You can show them the beans where I carefully excavated like an archaeologist those beans.
You can tell she's proud of it.
That plant. I was very careful.
Did you like rinse off any of the, like, did you try to like get as much soil off of it at all? Or did you just say, no, I'm just going to be safe, stay around to the roots and just go right into cocoa as is? Like, how'd you do that?
I removed as much soil as I could.
Like rinsed it in water and stuff?
I didn't rinse it in anything and just put it right in the cocoa. And then
Okay.
I kept it like in my kitchen for a few days. I didn't want to bring any bugs in the house. So when we didn't
That was
notice-
smart. That was a good move.
All right, let's see if we can get some of this out here. Here's some zinnias my wife's growing from seeds. They kept the bulbs and busted them up or whatever and got the seeds out of there, you know.
That's cool.
We sprinkled them in there and I'll be damned, they've grown pretty good. All right, this is my
That's gonna be a nice
makeshift
hanging pot.
We made all this soil in here with you guys' advice from these shows and shit, and took us 3 years.
I don't know if I'm lagging.
Incoming accordion.
Okay.
I thought my internet died.
This is the first time it wasn't me for the
Did the
night.
bomb go off? Yeah, they must have walked away from their Wi-Fi. Yeah,
Oh
dead
yeah,
air.
that's probably
That
exactly
was
what happened.
bizarre. Smart, you there? You
You
died
might
out
want
for a minute.
to turn your Wi-Fi off and go onto your internet from your phone.
Oh shit, I don't know how to do that.
If you
If he
haven't
does
dropped
it
on
now, it'll kill the connection.
Oh,
Well,
you're
we
right.
got you right now. So yeah, just don't move from there and tell us what's
Okay.
going on.
I was saying
Right.
we built it, we made this soil in here. We started with bag soil and different things that we had in pots where we grew tomatoes. This is our 4th year of growing these veggies outdoor, different kinds and that. Very fulfilling. You guys inspired us to make this soil and come out here. We can't wait to switch to the other kind, but this is what we got here. My wife started these from the store bought celery. She just cut them down and poked them in here after they rooted in the windowsill. And we're going to see how they do. I feel like they might be behind, but it'll be fun to watch them out. And then our spinach didn't do so good. It's kind of slow, but this lettuce, see, I keep getting snails on my lettuce, like snails and shit. I don't know how much they got bugs there. I got
Getting beer in the house?
Yeah, you're
Getting beer in
feeding
the
some.
house?
You're feeding the neighborhood instead of yourselves. It looks like smart.
yeah. And then these heads of lettuce. I mean, I just planted this garden.
Those look nice.
30 days ago. May 15th is our plant day here, and then we got these heads of
That's
broccoli.
the thing. Yeah, those plants grow really quickly. It's very nice.
Impressive.
Yeah.
You got some broccoli. You can eat those
Ooh.
leaves and everything else. Don't just throw those leaves away. Those leaves taste just like a mild broccoli. They're nice. Put them in your salad.
No shit. I didn't
It's,
know that. Hey,
nothing slept on.
you know what? Them leaves are so hydrophobic, man. I noticed when I was watering my
Heck
garden.
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Slick, like I never seen. It's just wild, man. They got a fuzz on them that makes them real hydrophobic.
It's wax. It's that cuteness wax. And when I was talking earlier about not spraying all the time, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Obviously, it's a little different in cannabis, but yeah, like you don't want to always strip that away because it's a natural defense against some things.
You can see it
That was
rolling
a cool
around.
shot.
It
Yeah,
looks like mercury, doesn't it? Anyhow, these are our
It
peppers.
does.
it does.
I busted one clean off down there
Get some
when I was
peppers
putting that
going.
net up. Yeah, those are called early girls right there. They're all about 30 days old, man. So the stuff we put in here, man, really worked. And the peppers are going good. All right, let me go over here real quick and I'll be Here's my wife's rose bush we cut back. It's starting to come back and do pretty decent.
Beautiful.
All right, let's go. This is my.
Looks like some
no.
peas.
They do look like snap peas, sugar snap peas, probably.
Right on the fence line. That's a smart move too.
That's right.
Go
Yeah.
straight up.
If you want people to take all your peas, maybe.
No, you let the dog out. Like keep the peas.
Oh, okay. I see.
This is where that little plant was growing right here beside this one, and she dug it out and took it up
You
there.
froze
But here's
up.
the beans.
Those are definitely like French
Now
beans
it's
or
back.
whatever. Green beans.
Yeah, almost back.
We'll head back inside.
Oh, it's your bandwidth this time, not mine. So, all right.
Jack's feeling way better at the show.
I actually
All right.
went over to my router with air in a can, and I fucking sprayed the shit out of my router because it was dusty. And my connection's been a little bit better since then. So I guess that might have been what needed to be done.
Hey, I'll get off here now and go. I was losing connection out there. I'm gonna leave and go back to chat so other people can have their spot. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you for
Thank
joining.
you, Smart and Crispy.
Crispy and Smart. Thank
Thanks
you
for
as
sharing,
always.
man.
We appreciate you and all the dads out there. Happy Father's Day. Stay safe.
Thank
Grower
you.
love.
Growers love.
Thank you both very much. And we have
All right.
shrubs, I believe.
Are you
is
ready,
with
Jack?
us still.
You know what he's got, right?
He's got some velvet punch, right?
He knows.
Yeah, he does.
Velvet. He's got some velvet punch. The velvet punch was
And-
looking amazing.
Yeah.
I
he's
reposted
wicked.
this the other day. I was
Yeah,
like, damn,
yeah.
dude, it started from this tiny little solo cup and now it's like beasting. I told him it starts slow. Those F3s, they start a little slow in veg, but they take off mid to late veg and into flower.
Is that it,
Yeah.
Scrubs? That's the VP?
Yeah, that's BP.
Nice.
And you can see it's not super apical dominant. Like it's a big ass
It's a
bush.
bush on
Like
its own, yeah.
all of them just want to fucking go.
I might have to strip like crazy.
Yeah, she loves the sun, man. I'm thinking you're gonna probably find some real dark purple to black outdoors.
Yeah, I'm looking at that, bro, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that is a lot of work when you have to strip that.
Yeah, that's
Oh man.
Well, then Amy's.
Can I
Says
just say,
Amy.
bro, I love those surrounds you got there. That is awesome. That'll be an awesome way to trellis vertically.
Yeah, Amy.
You know-
Amy gets some heavy buds, so I wanted some reinforcement.
It'll keep the deer and
Yeah.
stuff out too. They won't come running right through your plants.
Yeah, that's cool. I like
Damn,
that.
she's
That's really
sexy.
awesome.
Yeah,
You
The
got
sun is
Right.
amazing.
Oh yeah, it's different.
I love seeing
And this
plants
is
growing like this. Full sun, just fucking.
Yeah, full sun. This is the real.
This is that cut of silver pearl I've been playing with. Spartans. I had
I've got some of that.
I think the snow devil was here, and I sent you a picture. I think I finally found a female. It's at somebody else's property, but yeah, I was glad to finally find one.
Nice. The snow devil, man. It's I've found one, and a tester has found one that had a Hermes, so keep an eye on any of the snow devil. But if you get a female that's not a Hermes, that smoke is so nice. It's a creeper though. Like it takes like
Oh,
a
yeah.
half hour for it to fully hit you. And then you're sitting there
Oh my
wondering
God.
why you're so high.
Yeah, this is my parlay that I made. I'm just running it. I drilled holes all the way around to really spread it out and try to fill the whole space.
Nice.
My daughter's strawberry plants.
Cool.
Oh yeah, I got a couple strawberries.
Yeah. And then Art Man sent me these three are Santa Marta Gold F2s. So I'm
That's
hoping to get a
exciting.
male and female.
Damn, look at the leaf on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing, right? Everybody knew what I was talking about.
That big
Yeah.
fist.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I got another one started. Your Snow Devil.
Awesome, man.
And these are, I think that's Project V.
That one's a friend sent me that unicorn runts piss.
Unicorn runs piss.
That's a whole lot going on.
And,
That's a whole
That's a
lot.
lot going on. Yeah. That's a name with a lot
but
of
here's
meaning.
here's the original. That's the silver pearl original cut.
I know a dude has been
Just-
growing silver pearl
it's so
since
s-
1997. He still has it here in San Diego. Same cut.
Yeah, this one, the backstory was some guys from, I guess, named it silver pearl. I don't know if it's the same lineage or not, but supposedly they bred it here. It's a couple, I don't know, 30 minutes from here. But I was lucky enough, after they passed away, their sons gave the cuts out because they didn't want to grow them. And I was lucky enough to get my hands on one. It's got it sounds horrible, but it's got a real cactus smell to it.
You're absolutely right. That sounds horrible.
People like
it's
that.
like horribly good. But yeah, that's all I got. My other one's in the dark. I got what was that one? The Violet Beauregard of towels in there.
How's that feel looking?
It's feeling pretty good. It's probably dark enough in here. It ain't gonna hurt it if this went out.
Is it in veg?
Sensi
No,
Seeds
it's
dropped
in
silver
flower.
pearl like in the 90s too, so there might have just been more than one person naming it the same thing, kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's looking good in there.
I got a velvet punch right there, and then the one of them that I created a cross of back there.
They're all
Nice.
different ages in there.
And what's that?
They're all different ages in there, or do they all flip at the same time?
Yeah, these three are the same. This one's about to finish.
Okay, that's what I thought. So they look different.
Yeah. I don't know. Here, hold on a second. They just went out. I don't know if that, there we go.
You got a nice
There you
collection
go.
going on here.
Nice.
Yeah, there's
Oh
towels.
yeah, look at that sexy girl.
Is that Amy?
Violet
No, that's
Beauregard.
Oh, that's
Violet
Violet.
Beauregard. And yeah, all those blueberry crosses, man, are excellent.
I concur.
And that's the black sugar. And that's my silver pearl S1s. That's what that is. And then that's Jack's Velvet Punch.
Giddy up.
All right, now close that door, man. You're giving
Yeah,
me-
yeah.
Yeah. I don't want you to get no issues just to show off your plants, man.
Yeah, that'd be all right. I just went outdoor to indoor. If that's the least of my problems.
Oh yeah, you're right. You did.
Risky bit. It's a risky business. A risky business. But yeah, thank you all for everything. Every Sunday, all the help y'all give and the effort y'all put in.
I think I got to shout out Seed Person One because if I remember correctly, he just like sent you some Velvet Punch that I sent him. Maybe I don't even know if I sent him directly
Yeah.
to you.
Yep, he sent me some Velvet Punch, and I think like I say, I've been handing Amy's out like crazy. There's, I think in the county here, there's probably 20 of them growing.
All right.
That's
Excellent.
awesome.
We're gonna catch all those ley lines. All the Amy's are gonna be monsters this year out in the
There
world.
you go.
Yeah, no,
Connected.
I'll get some pictures of the other ones. They're a couple miles down the road, but yeah, there's 2 or 3 other people pretty close that have some pretty nice Amy's going.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, man. They, like I say, everything Cal puts out has quality behind it, man.
Thank you.
Goes to breeding with solid genetics, like you found good males that you've worked with for a long time. You've tested a lot of stuff. I mean, I've seen probably over 100 people growing Taos gear at this point. So it's been in the hands of a lot of different gardeners in a lot of different environments. So that's a great way to get lots of feedback. And Tao's always been a never accept weak plants, shitty plants, or herms kind of guy. So
Well,
that is
mostly
another-
harmed, yeah. But I gotta say, like, this is what I think was real. So people that have been growing for a long time and they have cuts, like you first you hunt a whole bunch of strains, find out what strains you like, and then you hunt that strain, But like some of the keepers that I got, they chose me. Like a time wreck is a plant that is on its own, you know. So that's why I think these I don't want to say but they are unknown. Like the smaller breeders have cuts that they kept because they were special, and that's going to make special plants, you know. So yeah, that's kind of my take also on all that.
Yeah, and for me, like really the biggest reason, well, there's two reasons I got into making some of my own seeds, because I never really had a vision of becoming any kind, and I still don't, becoming any kind of a big time breeder. But I will forever be a pheno hunter. And that's what I love. That's what I love to do. And now that with this build out I have with my buddy Baked, where we can have a bigger pheno hunt, it's like we need 60 seeds. Well, I'm not going to buy those, you know. And if we're collecting phenos, if we're doing large pheno hunts and collecting, special cuts, why not slam stuff together, and then that will be our next pheno hunt, you know what I mean? So it's going to be fun to forever be able to pheno hunt things like that, because in the end, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for something that stands out, looking for that unicorn, looking for something special, and looking for, it's just better to say I found that, right? It's better to say I found that. There's no doubt, there's no lineage to debate. You like, no, I popped this pack of seeds and I found that in that pack of seeds. That's where that came from. I like that way better than a cut that I got from so and so that they said they got from so and so that they said they got from so and so. That means it's legit. I just, in this day and age and all that, it's just way more attractive to me to say, no, I found that myself. You know what I mean? And it was in this pack of seeds.
And unless you give it to people, no one else has Spartan Grown's number 6,
Exactly.
Pheno.
Yep, exactly. And I love that. And I love seeing that, the Spartan cut when it cut, like 2020, Adam, shout out to Adam at 2020 Mendocino, giving me that huge honor in my eyes, to be on his seed pack for the F2s that he made, because he used the cut that I pheno hunted. But I mean, it's just like I used his gear. All I did was pheno hunt it, and he's got it listed on his V2 pack as a Spartan cut. So, shout out to him to giving me a little bit of credit when he's the breeder. Damn it! A lot of people think I bred that, and I have to constantly correct. No, I didn't breed anything. I just pheno hunted the F1s. So yeah.
Same with Velvet Punch. I didn't make it. Dojo DNA. I shot him out all the time. I F2'd it and I F3'd it. But he's the guy who spent a decade in Northern California in a greenhouse, living in a tiny house, just hunting, finding the best stuff, mixing it together. And I think the real craft is going to come from a lot of guys that are like, quote unquote, no name or unknown, lesser known, because these guys are just head down, nose to the grindstone, working, hunting stuff, finding amazing stuff that they really like and hanging on to it and sharing it with their friends, their family, and, the people around. And maybe they'll put it out there. A lot of people are just like, they're so pure about it. They don't even want to commercialize it at all. So some of the most fire shit is not for sale, which is like an anomaly some people don't like to acknowledge. But yeah, hunting is a beautiful part of this. And I think the craft is not everybody growing the same Cushman's or wedding cake cut. It's going to be Spartan Grown's triple burger number 27 that they hunted through, that is just like knock your dick in the dirt and has a unique terp that you haven't seen. So that's the good stuff there.
I know at least 2 people that have like strains that no commercial facility would be interested in, but after 16 weeks or something, everyone else would be interested in them though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely. I want to let Spartan Grown give his final thoughts and shout outs and before we just wrap it up.
Yeah, I'll just say, that's pretty much my thoughts right there. Was I just kind of spit them out there, but so I'll just go ahead and say, everyone have a great night. I love you all. Shout out to Chad as always, and shout out to everyone on this panel. I see you all as my family, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And everybody just keep growing. You can see me on the Michigan Bros Grow Show here in 10 minutes. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you, Spartan. Always great having you.
Spartan.
Our pleasure. And definitely make sure to check out Michigan Bros Grow Show. It's in 10 minutes now. Spartan's got to refill the trays and take care of his dogs and all that good stuff. We got SSGrower who's connecting for audio. It looks like they're maybe still trying to flip around their camera, so I won't spotlight them just yet. I'll maybe throw myself again in the spotlight just to avoid any buddy maybe not wanting to show themselves on camera, but it looks like they're still connecting. But yeah, always great to have Spartan. And I do really agree with what you're saying there. When you make your own seeds or have seeds from small craft breeders, and you can find really unique things that I'm seeing a lot of it. Unfortunately, in the California market, we have, the most people of any state in a legal market. And with that, there's a lot of demand and a lot of supply that's needed. And a lot of cultivators choose the big named stuff. So then you don't see a lot of the more unique stuff. So I'm just waiting for SSGrower. SSGrower, if you can hear me, it looks like your audio is connected now. Can you give me an audio confirmation? There we go. I'm seeing your grow, and I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you for everybody.
Yes.
Cheers.
Can
How you doing?
you hear me, guys?
Yes. Welcome in. How
Yeah,
you doing?
I'm doing
What's up,
great.
SS Grower? Sorry.
Yeah, doing great, Tal. I'm in touch with Chad and Spartan. I don't get out much. I'm getting old, and this is breeder Edgar Pena's work. It's called Cook Cat. It's Kush Cat. You got
Can
it?
you see your screen? We can't see your plant. There you go. Down a little. There you go. Keep going. All right. Yeah, down a little more. There you go. Right. That's close.
I think if
Is that
you are
better?
you using the front camera and looking around, because if you look at the thing, you could at the top left turn your camera around if you have a rear camera, so that way you could look at the screen and also see what you're seeing.
Okay, give me a sec.
Yeah, if you tap it at the top left, it should be, I think. There's a little like arrows with the camera on it. Let's see. If that's not working, then we can just go with how you had it before. But I just know it's a little bit difficult to aim the camera. But we can see what's the strain that we're looking at right here. You said something cat, right?
Cool.
Yeah, I've got other plants to show, but they're
Cat.
asleep.
Oh, okay, no worries. Who's the Kush cat from?
The Kush Cat is from Edgar Pena Masonic Seeds.
Okay, yeah, Masonic Grower.
Yep. Masonic.
It's a brand new tin. I just set it up, and it came with a scorpion in the bottom from AC Infinity Brothers.
A literal bug scorpion?
Yes, sir. I sent Spartan a picture for verification.
That's crazy.
I heard they were doing that.
Scorpion.
I heard something about that. I thought it was like a prank or like an option you could click, like include a live scorpion in my box or something like that.
That seems like something that the
particularly.
USPS might not be fans of.
Yeah, no, for sure.
All I know, it's a brand new tent, and when I put the bottom in the tent to catch the water and all, and I came back, I looked under one of the planters I temporarily just placed in there, and there was a scorpion, live scorpion.
That's wild.
Anyway, thanks for showing it, and I'm trying to learn how to get on Uncle Rick's show and all this stuff. I'm an old guy, and I don't have much knowledge like this. So enjoy your evenings. Thanks for having a word with me.
Hey, well, thank you for
Of
coming
course.
on. We appreciate
Yes.
everybody's effort and showing off their gardens. And I know it's not easy. It's getting on here, showing off the plants can be difficult, both technologically and from a emotional standpoint. I think a lot of people get nervous coming on to show off their garden in front of hundreds, ultimately later thousands of people that will watch and listen on the podcast. So we appreciate you, SSGrower, and we're happy that you're part of this community and you're connected with Uncle Rick. It sounds like he's a great dude. I'm hoping that we'll be able to link up if it hasn't already happened for the Last Prisoner Project. I think they're going to be doing another fundraiser / live stream this year.
Yep.
And so we'll probably take over a couple hours. He reached out to me and then I just haven't heard anything. Maybe there's like a group chat or something that I'm supposed to be in, or an email, but I need to follow up with that because I get busy and then things get put on the back burner. And then if they don't get followed up with, then they don't get done. So
yeah, thanks for showing
Cool,
us,
yeah.
SS Grower.
Yes, sir.
Cheers to you, man. And I'm gonna
What's
pass
up,
it.
Tal?
Are you SS
Not too
Grower
much.
on IG? Is that where the people can find you? Or
Uh,
where?
I'm not sure what I am on IG for sure. I changed my email around so I could join you guys from a name to SS Grower, which I'm SS Grower on the budbuilders.org. Anyway,
good.
no, I just wanted you guys. I just talked to Spartan and Painted Lady and Chad Westport. I've been growing since 1975. I've never been busted. I don't have a record. I've been doing guerrilla grows when I was young, and now I got LEDs and inline fans and technology to learn. Spartan can give you a laugh about that or two.
That's awesome. I'm glad you never got any trouble with the law, SS Grower. That's a great feeling.
Hey, it's
and I'm happy-
impressive.
I'm knocking on wood over here. So
Yeah, brother. Coastal Bend of Texas, brother. I'm 10 feet above sea level.
there you go.
Hey, I respect that. Love being near sea level. I'm a similar elevation as well, and life is good near the water. And also avoiding the police. I unfortunately didn't have such luxuries in Ohio. I had to run in at a young age, and it definitely soured me a bit in the enforcement of cannabis in that regard. But as unfortunate as that is for me and many others, like we were talking about with the Last Prisoner Project, I hope that people do support Uncle Rick and his show and those causes. But I want to pass it first over to Matthew Gates to let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Matthew Gates. I'm an IPM specialist, and you can check me out at zenthanol.com for professional inquiries. Zenthanol, the YouTube channel, for a bunch of cool info like those aphid and scale insect videos that are going to come out, deep dives, pest primer series. You can check out other bugs there too. And also my Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can access my Discord server where you can, with like 130 plus other people, maybe more than that at this point, talk about IPM and issues. And it's a lot easier to aid people in that channel than it is on social media. So if you are interested in having a pocket IPM specialist, you can check me out at my Zenthanol Patreon.
Best investment you can make in your IPM protocol, and if you ask me. But maybe I'm biased, but I definitely think you've put out lots of good information, and all 130 plus of those people, I'm sure, are benefiting greatly and able to handle things in their garden much better than if they weren't in that group. So cheers to you and cheers to all of them. And I'm going to pass it, I guess, last and certainly not least of our panelists this evening, our regular guest, to the American one.
My apologies for being slightly tardy. And Jack, again, thanks for hosting. It's good to see everyone in the panel, everyone in chat. Happy Dad's Day to all those dads. And yeah, I am the American one on the YouTubes, and the American one _ Keens on the IG. You can hit me up there easily on the DM. And if you go to amyaces.com or breederscollective.com, you can find at least Amy Aces of both. And I think the Breeders Collective have a couple other ones that might be available there. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for everyone that came on and showed us the plants. Shout out to SS Grower. Good to see you. And yeah, everybody have a great week. We'll catch you next time.
For sure. Thank you, Tal. And it's funny, we came a long way because we used to call our Breeders Collective the Breeders Collective when we had one on the Cheap Home Grow podcast way back in the day. It's like me, Adam, 2020 from Mendocino, Canna Queen, Kyle Breeder, and a few others would jump in here and there. But I'm glad that they've kept it going, and because we stopped that a long time ago, only after like six shows, and they're only on one podcast platform. So happy that your stuff's available there, and people should definitely go check that out and support. If you want some of my seeds, I mentioned earlier, the Velvet Punch F3, they're currently on sale, 20% off for Father's Day. Shout out to all the fathers out there. If you're like me and you've lost your father recently or even in the past, and this is a difficult day for you, I am empathetic. I feel for you. It's tough to be reminded constantly and asked to buy gifts and remember somebody who's no longer with you. And it can hurt a lot, but this is a day to maybe focus on yourself and find something positive and keep the good things moving forward. So with that said, if you want to get a discount on those seeds, I'm going to let it run a little bit past Father's Day because I put the podcast out on Monday. I haven't said this yet on any of our podcasts, and I know Michigan Bros Grow Show just started, so I'm sorry for running over. But YouTube no longer lets me download the video right after the show. It used to let me do it in like 10 or 15 minutes. Now it takes several hours. I don't know if it's because we have so many people in chat or something else, but it doesn't process until the next day. So I'm trying to as fast as I can, but Mondays is usually the quickest I can get the podcast up now. I'm sorry for those who used to listen Sunday nights on the podcast platform, but YouTube is where it will be out every Sunday. And then Mondays we'll have the podcast. So that is why that delay has been happening. I wish I could get it sooner, but YouTube is not really complying with me. So I'm trying my best. But with that said, 50strains.com if you do want some of those seeds on sale, and or if you want to book. And you can also find me at Jack Greenstock on Instagram or Jack_Greenstock on Twitter. If you want to email me, jackgreenstock47@gmail.com. I know we ran a little bit long, but I really appreciate everybody showing up this week. Thanks for asking great questions. Thanks for hanging around and listening to us ramble about all sorts of topics. And thanks for showing off all your gardens to those guests who came on and did that. So appreciate all you panelists, guest panelists, and everybody who's listening both live and afterwards. It's Jack Greenstock signing out.
Growers love.
And for Dr. MJ, he would say growers love, and Spartan would say keep on growing. So catch you all next week.